So today I'm going to be checking out the latest CPU cooler from ASUS. This is the ROG RYUO 4 and it's got a 6.67 inch curved AMOLED display with a 60Hz refresh rate. And in this video I'm going to be showing you how to install it in both an Intel and an AMD motherboard, and I'm going to be demonstrating all its features. So if you're going to be using an Intel motherboard, the first thing to do is install your backplate. And the backplate included is compatible with LGA 1700 and LGA 1851. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove the plastic protection, and you'll see then we've got some double-sided adhesive here which is going to help the backplate to stick to the back of the motherboard. Then all you're going to do is line the backplate up with the holes in the back, and it's simply going to slot into place. Then you're going to want to grab the Intel plastic collars, and you're simply going to push one onto each corner. If you're going to be using an AMD motherboard, the cooler is compatible with both AM4 and AM5 sockets. First thing to do is remove the stock clips. They're each held on with 2 screws. Then you're going to go ahead and set the brackets into place. And you'll notice on these brackets there's a little arrow pointing towards the CPU. And then you can secure the brackets using the 4 original screws. And it is important to say you are going to want to install your CPU before securing these brackets into place, because they will interfere with opening our socket. So we take a look at our I/O. It's good to see that all 3 of our fans are pre-installed on the radiator and connected up together. And coming from one end of the fans, we've got 2 cables. We've got a 4-pin PWM cable, which we're going to plug into our CPU fan header, and a 3-pin 5V ARGB cable to plug into an ARGB header on the motherboard. We take a look in from the other side, you'll notice that our tubes come out the middle of the radiator. The idea behind this is the radiator is designed to be mounted at the top, and you've got a nice short tubes run down to where your pump is going to be mounted, so it's going to look really clean. You can see we've got thermal paste pre-applied, and in terms of mounting, it's exactly the same mounting screws depending on whether you're mounting this on an Intel or AMD motherboard. So the only tube coming from our pump is a 4-pin PWM cable, and we're going to plug this into our pump header on the motherboard. Turning the pump round, you'll notice we've got this large plastic holder, and all this is really designed to do is hold our screen in place. So this is our screen, and we've got the curved display on the front and on the side. I'm just going to leave the plastic protection on until we have installed it, and it is going to simply slot into that plastic holder, which is going to keep it in place. And in terms of the cables coming from the pump, we've only got one. It's a USB cable, and we're going to plug this into a USB 2.0 header on our motherboard. So we can go ahead and set our I/O into place at the top of the case, and we'll secure things into place at the top using the included radiator screws. You'll notice out of the box our fan cables are coming out at this corner here. Not a big problem because I've got a mesh panel on the front of this case, but if this was a fish tank case where you had a glass panel on the front, this wouldn't look very good. And if this was the case before installing the radiator, what I would do is simply just remove all the screws, turn the fans around 180 degrees and re-secure them, and then you would have the cables coming out from this back corner here where you're not going to see them. So what I'm going to do is pass the cable coming from the fans through to the back, and then we've got 4 PWM headers at the top of the motherboard. Our tubes are slightly blocking them, but the one furthest to the left hand side is our CPU fan header. So I'm going to bring the cable back through, and we'll get the PWM cable plugged in. And we've got an ARGB header here, so again I'll bring the ARGB cable coming from our fans through and get it plugged in. So we can go ahead and remove the plastic protection from the cold plate, and because we've got thermal paste pre-applied, we're not going to need to add any to the CPU. So I'm just going to want to line our pump up with the brackets on the motherboard, and then we'll go ahead and tighten up the thumb screws. So I've got all 4 corners to catch. If you are having any difficulty getting the screwdriver fitted in, the bracket does slide from side to side, so you are able to move it to get access to the screw holes. And then we just need to tighten each corner up in turn. Then I'm just going to pass the PWM cable up to the top, and we'll get it plugged into our pump header. In terms of our tubes, I'm just going to push them around, making sure they're not catching into the radiator at the top. And then before we install our screen, I'm just going to feed our USB cable up to the back. And then to install our screen, we're simply going to slot it in from the side and tilt it round into place. And like I mentioned, you do a bit of movement on it. You can slide it all the way to the left and all the way to the right, so you're going to be able to get it into the perfect position for your particular motherboard and case. And now we've got it installed, we can remove the plastic protection. Last thing to do is plug our USB cable into a USB 2.0 header at the bottom of the motherboard. So our tubes at the top are nicely organised and hidden out of the way above our pump. Mine are sitting fine, but ASUS do include this cable clip if you want to put it on and help organise the tubes. So in terms of setting up our screen, the first thing we're going to want to do is head over to our coolers page on ASUS's website, and you'll find a link to this in the description. And then we're going to want to download the software. We can then head over to our downloads folder and we'll click on the file. Click yes and install, and we'll click finish and run the program. Okay, so whenever we load the package up, we've got a lot of information. We've got all our temperatures here. We've got some information about our fan speeds, our frequencies, voltage, and current usage. We've got the settings tab up here, and we are able to change things like our language or the units for our temperature. And again, we're going to be able to check everything's fully up to date. Probably the bit you're most interested in is our screen settings, so we'll go ahead and click on it. And you can see at the moment we're running one zone, but if we want to split the screen, we can and have two separate zones. I'm going to leave it on one zone for now. There's options to increase our brightness, so if we want to put that up, we can do. So let's just put that up to 100%. And then we're able to add different things to the screen. So you can see the options that we've got. So for example, if we want to add our CPU temperature, we can just drag it onto the screen to where we want it. Let's put our GPU temperature. We'll put our AIO pump speed, CPU fan speed, and let's do our CPU frequency and CPU usage. And then to get them to come up in the AIO, all we need to do is click on apply. And then again, if we want to change our title color or content color, we can do it from here. We've got a few built-in options, so let's try changing it over to the second one and click on apply. Try our third one. And then the fourth one. And if we don't want anything displayed on the screen, we can just click on them and press the bin icon. And you can have it then just with the video playing without any information on it. We've also got options to add to the media library, so we can click on add, and then you're able to drag in what you want to be displayed on it. It is also possible to split the screen, so we can split the screen here and we can have two separate videos or images playing, and all you need to do is add in what you want. It seems these default ones are for the one zone, which I definitely think looks best. So moving back to your home screen, doesn't look like you're going to have the option here to control your fan speeds or also your other ARGB effects. So to do that, we're going to need Armory Crate. So we've got Armory Crate here, so we can go ahead and download it and install it. So when you download Armory Crate, the first thing I would do is check everything's up to date. So click on Settings, click on Update Center, and we'll just check for updates, and it will find a few things it needs to update. So you can of course configure your fan speeds in the BIOS, but if you want to do them in Armory Crate, you can as well. Just click on the Fan Expert, and then you're going to be able to set up your fan curves for your CPU fan, which is our fans and our radiator, and we have plugged into our AIO pump. It's currently running at 100% at the moment, but you are going to be able to adjust that using the curves here. To control the lighting effects, you're going to head over to Aura Sync. Select the devices that you want to control, and remember we have plugged our fans on the radiator into our addressable header, so that's the one we're going to want to control to change the lighting on it. And we just need to go to Aura Effects and we can change what we want coming up. So if we want to set it to rainbow, let's do that. And you'll notice that all the lighting in the system is changed to rainbow, and the fans on the radiator have a really nice lighting effects on the side of them. But for me, I much prefer a static color, so I'm going to leave it on a static white.